In the previous video, we had discussed about duty, delta, base period, and after that, we had discussed about soil, water, and plant relationship. So after discussing that, we had discussed about consumptive use. So we'll continue with the same thing. So we know that there are several factors that are affecting the consumptive use, which I listed in the previous slide. So in this slide, what I'm trying to show you is it's a kind of a diagrammatic or a chart representation of consumptive uses that are going to take place. So if you try to look into this figure here, there are terms which are placed in several boxes, and these are the four boxes that we have. And the first two boxes will be considered as the terms which will be of beneficial for the crop. Okay, then these are the two portions, these two blocks which will be of non-beneficial use, which will not be benefited for the yield of your crop. Okay, then we can say that these two boxes which I'm considering vertically this time, so these two boxes will be called as consumptive use box, and these two are non-consumptive use box. Okay, now just read out the details here. The crop which uses the water for evapotranspiration, it is beneficial use, it will be benefited for your crop, and it is considered as consumptive use. Okay, the deep percolation or removal of salt, so the water that percolates deep will carry the salt with it. Okay, so we also know that there is a salinity condition if you apply water, irrigation water. So what basically happens is that water contains salt, and when you apply more amount of water, irrigation water on the farm, the water will be consumed and the salt will be left over at the top of the soil, and because of that the salinity will increase, the saline nature of the soil will increase. Because of that, the entire farm may go barren, or it may go useless or non-agricultural. It becomes impossible to irrigate or use the agriculture practice on those fields. Okay, so when you apply water, and when the water percolates it deep down, what happens is it carries the salt also. So that might be beneficial for your farmland, because over the period you are just reducing the salinity of the farm, and from that you are improving your farmland, right? It will be a beneficial use, but as you know, this cannot be considered as a consumptive use, because it's not consumed by a plant for the growth of it, right? So that's why it's not consumptive use, but it is beneficial. Okay, now similarly you can look into this part. The sprinkler operation, reservoir operation, all these are of consumptive use, but or of non-beneficial use also. So then the excess deep percolation is basically the water that is percolated into your farmland and which is not accessible by the plant, then it becomes of no use, and it cannot be considered as a consumptive use also. Now, similarly, the excess runoff that is going to, so in this diagram they are trying to fill in different boxes the terms of consumptive use. Okay, the factors that are affecting the consumptive use, right? From this bifurcation you could be able to understand what are the factors and how they are influencing in their various capabilities. Okay, so after understanding consumptive use, we already know what is evapotranspiration. I had given you a brief description what is evapotranspiration and what is consumptive use. Consumptive use is something which is related to farmer. Evapotranspiration is something related to a hydrologist or a civil engineer who is trying to plan out how much water is to be supplied at different regions, and then he considered evapotranspiration being the loss, but whereas the farmer considers the evapotranspiration as a consumptive use, it's a necessary. Okay, right? So we already have discussed the evapotranspiration, how to determine the evapotranspiration and all of those things in the previous module also. Now I'll quickly explain you the irrigation efficiency. We all know that the entire irrigation system consists of several blocks. First, what we need to do is that we need to store the water in the reservoir, and that water will be diverted or it will be conveyed through the canals to our agricultural field. And in the agricultural field, the farmer uses that water to apply to his crop according to his necessities. Now there are several losses that take place when we convey the water from the reservoir to the farm field. Okay, so we will try to break down this into three different parts to understand what are the losses that are supposed to take place. So if we understand the losses that are going to take place, we will be able to understand what is the efficiency with which we supply water, right? So first thing first is the conveyance. So what you do is that you store the water in the reservoir, then you convey it to the agricultural field. So when you convey the water, you convey through canals. So you definitely know that the water will get evaporated when the water is in reservoir. There might be a seepage of water where it is being stored, and at the same time when you supply water into the canals, there can be a seepage of water in the along its length of flow, and after and other than that there can be evaporation of the water from the surface of water that is flowing in the canal. So this is what the conveyance efficiency is, right? These are the losses that are going to take place if assume that I'm supplying around 100 liters of or something of water, and if only 90 liters has been if only the 90 liters reaches to the destination, it means what 10 liters of water is lost. And how much is the efficiency of your supply? It will be 90 percentage. So if you supplied 100 liters of water, 90 is only reaching there. So it means your efficiency is 90 percentage and 10 percentage is your loss. So this is what we call it as conveyance loss. Okay, next going with the water application loss. Now coming to water application, if your part as a civil engineer or a hydrologist, your part completes when you supply water to the field, the next is left to the farmers, how efficiently he uses the water that is being supplied to his field, right? So we have discussed about several methods of your agriculture practice, right? So if you go for more efficient technologies like sprinkler irrigation, drip irrigation, or any of those stuff, what basically happens is that you can irrigate more area with less amount of water. You're just optimizing the usage of your water. So in drip irrigation, as you know, we supply water directly to the root zone, and because of that there will be a, a, a huge reduction in the losses that are supposed to take place, right? If he goes with the conventional method, if he goes with the conventional practice of irrigation, of application of water, what will happen? It will increase the necessity of water. Because of that, the duty will reduce. Okay, so less amount of area will be irrigated by a huge amount of water, right? So like this, the efficiency of water application also plays an important role. So after that, you can see that efficiency of storage. Now the efficiency of storage is not left to farmers, it is left to the kind of agricultural field it is. If the soil beneath has a capacity to hold the water or to store the water, more if more water is stored in the root zone, the frequency with which you apply water will get increased, right? So basically the type of soil and the climatic condition will explain you what is the efficiency of storages. Okay, now efficiency in water use, if you combine all these together, it will be called as how efficiently you use the water, right? So coming with the first one, the efficiency of conveyance. So this basically is how efficiently you supply the water to the field. Now next one is efficiency of water application, how efficiently a farmer applies water to the field. And the last one is how efficiently the water is stored in the root zone, which is basically dependent on the climatic condition and also the type of the soil that we have and the type of crop that has been grown, right? So these are the efficiencies. So these efficiencies will explain you how much efficiently you use the water which has been stored in the reservoir. Okay, so after discussing the irrigation efficiency, the next thing is to discuss about the crop season. We have kharif season, rabi season, then there are hot weather. Okay, so we know what is kharif season is June to October, and rabi season is from October to February. Okay, so these months are basically the summer season where we don't grow much of the crops. The crops that are grown in this month is basically vegetables, tobacco, cotton, sugarcane, and all those plants. Okay, so the main crops that we grow are in the kharif season and rabi season itself, as you can see here. Okay, So last thing is we need to understand what is irrigation requirement. Okay, so this comes the last part with all the basics that you studied in the fourth module. This is the end of it. From here you will be able to understand, to design an irrigation system you need to determine what is the irrigation requirement. So like you just have to go with step by step. Imagine that you are going from farm field to a reservoir. Okay, first let us understand what is effective rainfall is. Effective rainfall means what? If there is a rainfall that has taken place, there is an amount of water that gets stored in your root zone. If the water if the rainfall is more than the capacity of water holding in your soil, the excess amount of water will be converted into runoff, right? So how effectively the water that is precipitated is retained in your agricultural fields, right? So when you determine this effective rainfall, then only you could be able to understand your irrigation water necessity, right? So you will use the rainfall water. After that, if there is a necessity, you will start using the irrigation water, right? So understanding effective rainfall becomes the first part of irrigation requirement. After that we will go for consumptive irrigation requirement. So we all know how to calculate the consumptive use. First what you do is that you know what is your effective rainfall, and once you determine how much effective the water that has been stored because of the rainfall, you will determine how much is the excess amount of water required for the growth of the plant, which will be applied by the irrigation water, right? So after determining the irrigation water, which we'll use the equation, earlier equation which we have solved, right? So we'll use that equation and determine how much is the consumptive irrigation requirement. So once calculating the consumptive irrigation requirement, we'll go with net irrigation requirement, which is basically the losses that happens in the field because of water application. The losses that are going to take place, we are going to compensate that and determine how much is the net irrigation requirement. So after determining the net irrigation requirement, we go for field irrigation requirement. What are the losses that are going to take place because of application of water? So we'll determine how much is field irrigation requirement. After that, we'll calculate how much is the gross requirement. Here in gross requirement, irrigation requirement, we are going to consider the losses that are going to take place because of the conveyance, right? So this is how we determine the irrigation requirement of water. First we'll determine the effective rainfall. After that we'll determine how much is the consumptive use. After that we calculate the net irrigation requirement by considering the losses that are going to take place because of the water that percolates or the water that is getting washed out. Okay, so after that we'll apply the efficiency with which we have applied the water to the field by our agricultural practice, irrigation practice. Then we'll consider the conveyance losses. From that we'll calculate the gross irrigation requirement. Okay, so this is the end of the topics that we need to discuss. Now what we'll do is we'll go on solving some of the numerical problems. Okay, so first we'll solve the problems on the water, soil and crop relationship, or soil, water and plant relationship. Okay, now so let me read out the first problem that we have, then we'll try to solve it. Okay, so let us go with the first problem. Depth of water in the root zone at field capacity and permanent wilting point are 0.5 meter depth of soil and 0.2 meter depth of soil. Find the field capacity and permanent wilting point. And gamma D, which is a specific weight of dry soil, is 13.73 kilonewton. It's basically kilonewton. It is misspelled as kilometer per meter cube. It is actually kilonewton per meter cube. Okay, so depth of water, the water that is available in the root zone, assuming it to be 1 meter. Let us, it is given as 1 meter depth of soil is there. So if the water is 0.5 meter, the water is at the field capacity. If the water is at 0.2 meter, it is at permanent wilting point. Okay, now what he wants us to determine, he wants us to calculate how much is the water content, the field capacity and permanent wilting point. You can directly solve by considering this relationship. You want to calculate the water content, weight of the water retained in the root zone divided by the weight of dry soil. You can go with the very basic equation that we have, or we can use the equation which we had derived earlier, right? You can do both of that. Okay, let us go with the most conventional one. which is using the basic equation. So the water that is available here is gamma W into dW1 he is written as. Okay, we might use we may call the water depth when it is at field capacity as 0.5 meter, which we will call it as dW1, and when the depth of water in the root zone when it is at permanent wilting point, we will call it as 0.2 meter. These are the two depths of water. Either you can use D1 and D2, D1 or D2. If you use D1, we will be calculating field capacity. If we replace this with D2, we will be calculating permanent wilting point. Gamma W into dW1 into 1 meter. 1 meter is the depth of root zone. Okay. So similarly, divided by gamma D into D. D is the total depth of root zone. Okay, multiplied by 1. So this 1 is basically the area. Okay, we are considering an area of 1 square meter. Okay, so as you know, the result is over here. We'll multiply 100 to it to find out how much is field capacity in terms of percentage, which is 14.29 percentage. Okay, so now the term that is used here is 0.2, and if it is 0.2, you know that we are determining it is PWP. It is written as field capacity here, but he has used 0.2. It means we are determining the PWP here. Okay, just try to correct it. If 0.5 is written here, whatever the value that you calculate, it will be called as field capacity. Similarly, you can solve for your PWP also, permanent wilting point. Okay, right. Now we'll go with the next problem that we have. I'll read out the problem once. A loam soil has field capacity of 25%. The field capacity is 25%. Permanent wilting point is 10%. The dry unit weight of soil is 1.5 gram per cc, centimeter cube. Okay, if the root zone depth is 60 centimeter, determine the storage capacity of the soil. The irrigation water is applied when moisture content falls at 15%. Okay, so once you read the problem, understand it, and then you try to solve it. Okay, first of all, we'll write down what is the field capacity, which is 25%. Okay, if it is 25%, I can convert that in terms of decimal by dividing it by 100, so it will be 0.25. Okay, similarly, PWP, which is permanent wilting point, is 0.1, dry density is 1.5. From this we can calculate how much specific gravity. Okay, the depth of root zone that is given to you is 60 centimeter. D is equal to 60 centimeter. The moisture holding capacity of the soil in root zone depth is given by. Okay, so first determine the storage capacity of the soil. He has told us we need to find out how much is the storage capacity. Storage capacity lies from field capacity to PWP. We know this, we have already studied the theory. If the water goes beyond the field capacity, if the water rises beyond the field capacity, the water will get drained off because of gravitational action. Okay, we know that, right? If the water level goes less than PWP, the water that is available will not be useful for the plant, right? So the range of water that should be stored in the root zone should be between FC to PWP, field capacity to permanent wilting point. Okay, so that's why the moisture holding capacity of the soil in the root zone will be called as gamma rho D by rho W. We can use either gamma or we can use the rho. Okay, it will not matter much. Okay, so gamma rho D, we already know density of dry soil is 1.5 gram per cc. Density of water is 1, which you all know. It should be multiplied with the depth of water and the difference of the FC and PWP. Okay, it is written here. There is a small mistake in the equation that is written in here. We need to multiply here the D also, depth of root zone. So 1.5 divided by 1 multiplied by 60 centimeter, it is in terms of centimeter. Okay, and multiply with the difference of PWP, FC and minus PWP. So you'll get to know how much is the depth of water that can be stored, which is 13.5 centimeter. Now he tells you that irrigation water is applied when the moisture content falls to 15%. When moisture content is going to fall to 15%, we need to start applying water. We should not wait till the water goes to a level of PWP, which is permanent wilting point. Okay, so how much is the depth of water we need to apply now? We need to apply a depth of water like this. When moisture content falls to 15%, the deficiency of water depth created will be given by, it means what, the depth of water that will be applied when the water level is at 15%. Okay, again same equation, rho d by rho w into d. D is the depth of root zone. Now here we'll consider the difference of Fc minus fall in moisture content. Okay, so Fc is how much, which is 0.25, and how much is fall in moisture content when we need to irrigate, when we need to use the irrigation water, when it falls to 15%. So 0.15 here, and we have solved it, and this is what the solution is. So the depth of water which we need to apply is 9 centimeter. Okay, right. So this becomes our irrigation requirement. Now we'll go with the next problem. I'll just read out the problem once. For best growth of particular crop, FC is 30%, PWP is 11%, here it is gamma D. Okay, specific weight of dry soil is 1300 kg per meter cube. Actually it is in terms of kg. If it is kg, it is density itself, it's not gamma. Gamma is basically the specific weight or unit weight of soil. Okay, anyhow, effective depth of root zone is 800 mm, which is 0.8 meter, and consumptive use per day, CU means consumptive use. Consumptive use per day is 12 mm. The moisture content must not fall below 25% of water holding capacity between field capacity and permanent wilting point. Determine the frequency of irrigation. Okay, after reading this problem, as you can see here, this is the field capacity which is at 30%, this is the PWD which is 11%. The moisture content must not fall below 25% of water holding capacity. Okay, so the optimum moisture content, the optimum level of water that should be maintained in the agricultural field is 25. It should not be less than 25%. If I consider the depth from here to here is as 100%, so the optimum moisture content I would like to understand how much is that. Okay, so this will be, if you try to understand this optimum moisture level, so from here to here it is 0.25 times of FC minus PWP. Okay, if you consider from here to here, it is 0.75 times of FC minus PWP. That is what been given here, right? So if I want to determine how much is OMC, optimum moisture content, it will be PWP. This is the level of water that is already available, which is 11%, plus I need to add something from here to here. Okay, so PWP plus of 0.25 times of FC minus PWP. This is 0.25 times of FC minus PWP. Now how much is OMC will become? OMC will be equal to, if I try to rewrite this equation, FC minus 0.75 times of FC minus PWP it will become. Okay, we can consider that also. Now FC minus OMC, if I send this term to this side, it will become FC minus OMC will be equal to 0.75 times of FC minus PWP. Okay, now what we are trying to determine, we are trying to determine how much is readily available moisture content, which is from here to here. So the readily available moisture content depth is gamma D divided by gamma W, which is 1300 divided by 1000. Okay, multiplied by the depth of root zone. How much is depth of root zone? Which is 800 mm, which is given to you, which is 0.8 meter, multiplied by FC minus OMC. Okay, these are the two levels that we have. Okay, FC minus OMC, which has been already derived here. How much it is? 0.75 into bracket FC minus PWP. We are going to substitute it here and we will determine how much is the depth of water when it is at optimum moisture content level. Okay, so this depth we have determined, which is this much. Okay, now how frequently we need to apply water, we need to understand that. The available water between FC to OMC, it means what, the plant that has been applied here will keep on consuming the water. Okay, when the water reaches to OMC, we need to start applying water again and we need to fill it up to field capacity, right? Now as you know, the daily consumption is 12 mm of water. How much is the depth of water that is available here? 0.1432 meter, right, which is basically 143.2 mm. So 12 mm is considered daily. So after how many days the water will reach to optimum moisture level? 12.35, nearly 12 days. So in 12 days, the water that is been stored in the root zone will fall from field capacity to optimum moisture content. So after every 12 days we need to keep on applying water. So the frequency of irrigation will become 12 days. Now going with this, this is another problem. The field capacity is 20 percentage, permanent wilting point 10 percentage, permissible depletion of available water is 50 percentage, and dry unit weight of soil is 15,000 Newton per meter cube. Effective rainfall is 25 mm. So we need to determine how much is, based on the above data, the net irrigation requirement per meter depth of water will be. This is what we need to solve. Okay, depth of root zone is 1 meter, field capacity 20 percentage, gamma d is 15 kilonewton per meter cube, pwp is 1 percentage, and effective rainfall is given to you. How much is effective rainfall? 25 mm. Okay, right. So the permissible depletion of water, available soil pressure is 50 mm, 50 percentage, sorry, 50 percentage. The optimum moisture content will be 0.5 minus of 20 minus 10. 20 is basically the field capacity. Here it is written wrong. pwp should be 10 percentage here. As you can see here, data, it is miswritten here. Okay, we need to correct this. So 20 minus 10 plus 10. Okay, this is what the OMC percentage will be. Okay, we know that this is pwp. If I have to come to OMC, what I need to do? pwp plus of 50 percentage of 20 minus 10. Okay, that is what I have to do. So I got to know how much is my OMC is 15 percentage. So your field capacity is 20 percentage, permanent wilting point is 10 percentage, and optimum moisture content level is 15 percentage. Okay, now let us determine how much is the depth of water which is readily available moisture content. So gamma d divided by gamma w d minus of fc minus OMC. Okay, so we have already determined how much is OMC is. So substitute the value of fc, OMC, depth of root zone, gamma d, gamma w, and you will determine how much is your readily available moisture content. So readily available moisture content is 75 mm. So in this 75 mm, this is the depth of water that should be stored. This is the level of water from fc to OMC, right, which we already know. Now there is some amount of water that is filled between fc to OMC by our effective rainfall. There is an effective rainfall of 25 mm. It means what? The irrigation application will be only 50 mm, because the storage capacity was 75 and 25 is filled with rainfall. So that's why the left out water should be 50 mm. So 50 mm is the extra amount of water that we need to apply here. So the net irrigation requirement will be equal to the crop irrigation requirement plus of leaching water. Okay, so as there is no leaching water requirement that is given here, so that's why we'll ignore it, and that's why INR will be is equals to 50 mm, which is net irrigation requirement. Okay, so this completes some of the problems that we need to discuss on soil, water, and crop relationship. Okay, next we are going to discuss the problems on our duty, delta, and base period. Okay, right. First, this is a very simple problem. Calculate the delta of kharif crop having the duty as 2500 hectare per cubic. B for kharif. B is base period. Base period for kharif is 123 days. So duty, we already know this equation, 8.64 B by D. Substitute the value of B, substitute the value of duty, determine how much is delta. Delta is 42.5 centimeter. Okay, now we'll go with the next problem. The area irrigated by the distributor is 220 hectares, out of which 150 hectares is jawar, kharif, and 70 hectares is sugarcane. If the delta for jawar is 45 centimeter and that of sugarcane is 180 centimeter, the average transit losses during the kharif are 20 percentage and annual transit losses are 40 percentage. Calculate the duty of each crop at the head of the distributory. Okay, base period for jawar is 120 days, Base period for sugarcane is 360 days. Anyhow, first let us try to understand what this problem is. An area will be irrigated. The total area that will be irrigated is 220 hectares, but all the area will not be irrigated with the same crop. There are two types of crop. One is the crop which is grown for an entire year. The other crop is grown for only kharif season, okay, which is of 4 months, right? So in those 4 months, 150 hectares of land will be grown by jawar, and the remaining 70 hectares will be grown by sugarcane, which will be grown for an entire year, okay, as we know the base periods are given here. Now the delta means the depth of water that is required for jowar is 45 centimeter, and for sugarcane it is 180 centimeter, okay. Now the transit losses, the losses that are going to take place when you supply water to the 4 months of kharif season is 20%. If you consider it for the annual transit for an entire year, when you are supplying water for the sugarcane, the losses will go up to 40%. So after understanding all of this, we will determine how much is the duty for each crop at the head of the distributory, okay, right? So we already know the equation. Duty is equals to 8.64 b by delta, where duty is hectares per cubic, delta is in meters, base period in terms of days. Let us first calculate for jowar, which is of kharif season. How much is the area irrigated? 150 hectares. What is the depth of water that is required? 45 centimeter. Let us calculate the duty. Duty is 8.64 b by d. Substitute the value of b, which is base period for jowar, is 180. Depth of water or delta is 0.45. 8.64 multiplied by 120 divided by 0.45 will give you how much is duty. Duty is 2304. But the solution doesn't end here. We need to continue and solve considering the transit loss, how much will be our duty. So considering the transit losses, this is basically the loss that is going to take place. The loss is 20%. It means the efficiency will be 80%. So that's why we'll multiply 0.8 to the earlier value that we got, which is 2304. 2304 multiplied by 80 by 100 will give you how much is the duty for jawar, okay, which is 1843.2 hectares per cubic. Now let us go for sugarcane. What is the base period of sugarcane? 360 days. How much is the area that is being irrigated? 70 hectares. And how much is the depth of your delta? 180 centimeter. So let us calculate the duty. So after calculating the duty, we know how much is the losses that are going to take place, which is 40%. If loss is 40%, efficiency is 60%. So again, the duty of the sugarcane is multiplied by 0.6. You will get to know how much is the duty for your sugarcane. Okay. Now this is how we can solve for duty of kharif crop and duty of annual crop. Okay. This is another problem. Let us read the problem first, then we are going to understand how to solve this. A channel is to be designed for irrigation 5,000 hectares. So there is a channel which is being designed to irrigate 500 hectares of land in kharif crop and 4,000 hectares in rabi crop. Okay, water required for kharif and rabi are 60 centimeter and 25 centimeter respectively. The crop period for kharif crop is 21 days and for rabi crop is 28 days. Determine the discharge of the channel for which it is to be designed. Okay, right. So let us first write down all that given data. 5,000 hectares of land for kharif crop, 4,000 hectares for rabi crop. This is the area which is to be irrigated under different seasons. Okay, and the depth of water, which is delta, for kharif crop, kharif season, is 60 centimeter and rabi is 25 centimeter respectively. And also write down the crop period, which is base period is 21 and for kharif crop and 28 days as base period for rabi crop. We need to determine how much is the discharge of the channel that is required. Okay, first we will go with kharif crop. We know the equation duty is equals to 8.64 b by d. Let us substitute the value of b and d for kharif crop. For kharif crop, we have determined how much is delta. Delta is given, which is 0.6 centimeter, and b is 21. Okay, determining the duty will be 302.4. This is the duty. Now how much is the area that will be irrigated? 5,000 hectares. So 5,000 hectares divided by the duty will give you how much is the discharge that is required in the canal. Okay, so we already know duty is hectare per cubic. Okay, and this is your hectares. So hectare per cubic, hectares divided by hectare per cubic will give you cubic, which is discharge. So the required discharge of channel is 16.53 meter cube per second in case of Kharif season. Similarly, we'll determine for Rabi season also. See here, using the same duty equation, we'll determine how much is the duty for Rabi season. After that, we know how much is the area to be irrigated in Rabi season. From that, we'll calculate how much is the discharge that is required for channel in Rabi season, which is 4.13 cumex. So if you can compare for Kharif season and Rabi season, if you are designing the channel, we have to use one of the discharges. Whichever is higher, we can consider that. So the higher one is 16.53. So the design discharge for the canal will be 16.53 cubic. Okay, thank you. So you try to watch all the 4 videos of this module, and this will be considered for your second IA internals. Okay, thank you.